That one, I think.
It's recorded, yeah. 3. Wait, I full screened it. I changed the aspect ratio. Right click. Aspect ratio. Go to video. Aspect. Why you got the highlights on?
Because I want them.
Aspect ratio.
Actually, no, you're right, aren't you? Oh Christ, where was that logo now?
It was in the Bounce Glory bit.
What's that?
Alright, right click. Video. Aspect ratio. And we'll go to the one that's 2:35:1.
Isn't that it? Pause. Video. Aspect ratio 2:35:1.
And full screen. There you go.
Nice. Cool.
Well, should we have a different background for you?
Well, I did just find one.
No, not there. I mean your seating arrangement.
Oh no, it's fine, isn't it?
Yeah, you sure?
Fuck it.
Okay. Right. Can you please introduce yourself? Who are you?
I am Mark Pearson, and I was the commentator. Oh, sorry.
Who are ye?
My name is Mark Pearson. I was the lead commentator for UBW as Sir Arthur Hayes. I also wrestled as Champagne.
Okay. Talk to me about the genesis of BBW and how BBW started and how it came together to be a backyard fair.
Okay, so to talk about UBW, first of all, you have to talk about BBW. And BBW, the short version of a very long tale, is that me and Peter Gethins, who's known as PS2 Peter, and we both did wrestling reviews, and occasionally we'd do shoot videos on each other, because Pete had a backyard wrestling promotion, and he would upload videos of himself doing the backyard wrestling. And I was just like, this is atrocious, because I had my own backyard federation back in 2006 that was called CRCW. And I would, if he did a really shit move, I would, look, this is how you do a DDT or a rock bottom or what have you, because I had footage of my backyard promotion. This is how we did. So that went back and forth for a while, and one day I sent Peter a private message on YouTube saying, look, we could do something really clever here, because all throughout YouTube was quite new at this time, but it was always people do a vid, and then I do a vid on you, you do a vid on me, and it never goes anywhere. And I was just like, what if one day you're doing one of your vids and I took you out from behind? No one would see it coming, and then we have a match, and we may not like each other, but we could do something clever here. So one day he's having one of his matches up in Keighley, which is in Yorkshire, near Leeds I think it is, and out of the blue I come out and take out both Pete and his opponent, and then cut a promo saying rah 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 rah, but next week we're having a match. And it goes online, and the internet, not the whole of the internet, but our respective audiences went, what the fuck is this? This has never been done before. So a week later, we taped it that same day, but a week later me and Pete have a one-on-one match, which was, we beat the fuck out of each other. Pete smashed a light tube from my head, for example, and bashed a Guitar Hero guitar into my head, and drove me through a table with a ridiculous spear and all that jazz, and then passed out from the pain of an ankle lock, which is one of those ones that where neither of us would agree to lose. So we did a finish like that. So then that turned into, well, we could do, why don't we do more of this? And it started off as we would get people who have these shoot videos that we're doing on each other. Let's invite them all together, and we'll do some matches, and we'll put on a show. And so we got in touch with various people, and they all agreed. James Eden was one who, literally the only footage of him that I can find these days is the one where he's saying he's got a small dick, which is the first thing you see at fucking BBW prove it. Extreme Dave I'd done a promo contest on YouTube, and David won it by ironically doing a shoot promo on Pete. So I got in touch with him like, do you do any backyard wrestling? And he said, yeah, of course I do. I'm Extreme Dave, and he showed us some of the things. Yeah, brilliant. So it turned out that all the haters and all the people that said they were going to do these shoot promos, none of them showed up. So it was me and Dave and Pete, and I brought the guy who would become Max Carnage along because he'd worked in my CRCW promotion, and so yeah, we did BBW Prove It that one day, which then turned into BBW Retribution, which we did down in Stoke, where we brought Pete. I don't know how Pete did this, but Pete managed to get in touch with Johnny Magnum and Liam Styles and brought them down. But we had the same problem where there was meant to be loads of other people were going to come down because Prove It went online and was a big smash. It got a lot, thousands of views because I was able to put it onto my quite successful YouTube channel at that point. So I was able to get loads and loads and loads and loads of views for it. So loads of people say, oh yeah, I want to bet a piece of this, and I hate you, Mark Pierce, and I'll fight you, and come on down, we'll do a thing. And so yeah, Pete got Johnny and Pete got Liam, and so we did. Those two had a match, and the winner fought Pete because Pete was scheduled to have a match with some bloke who didn't show. And then we did a nice little match of me versus Dave in a unification match. So the BBW Championship was going to be merged with what was, because I still held the CRCW Championship, so we merged those two together, which sort of we thought would give us a bit more prestige for the championship because loads of people when we were doing this, oh yeah, I remember CRCW. So we thought if I lose to Dave, it solidifies the BBW Championship. And when we had these plans going forward, and we're going to go to all over the country because we taped in various people's. So like the first one was in Keighley where Pete lived, and the second one was in Stoke where I lived, and then we're going to tape in Sheffield where Dave lived. And it was all good, but then Pete and I had a titanic falling out, the first of many, where because we both had a very different direction where we wanted the company to go. So Pete wanted the promotion to be very hardcore centric. He wanted to use fire, and he wanted to use glass tubes, and he wanted to use barbed wire, and all those sort of things that a traditional backyard wrestling promotion does. And while some of the roster wanted to, I know that Dave would have been happy to do the fire, for example. I massively argued against it if we were going to be doing these shows, these tapings in public places, because the first two tapings were in a park, as the third one was, as all the UBW shows will be. If it was in a private area, that's all one thing. But if you're using glass, for example, in a public park, and you go and get all of it up. Can you have on your conscience that a little girl's fallen over and she sliced her arm open? What the fuck? When Mum pulls out this piece of fucking light tube. So we had a big falling out with that. And basically what happened was that Pete fired the entire roster. So it was me and Dave and Max and Johnny and Liam, and it was just one of those. Okay then. So I sort of pulled everyone into we used to use MSN chat back in those days. And I pulled everyone in and just not Max didn't have the internet at the time. Everyone else, I pulled them in and said, right, okay. I still want to do this. I want my vision of a backyard promotion is we do the hardcore stuff, we do the silly stuff within reason, but I also want technical wrestling. I want us to showcase that's I think the big difference between us and we need to be different. There's so many backyard promotions out there. The one thing that we can do differently is to try and do a bit of groundwork as well as doing the silly spots, and we do storytelling as well. And everyone, to a man, went, I like that idea. Because we were meant to be taping that Relentless one, the third one. We were meant to be taping that. This was on like the Monday night, and we were meant to be taping on the Saturday. And we were like, should we still do it? Like, yeah, fuck, let's fucking do it. Fuck Pete. Fuck it all. So we had literally 5 days to think of a name, which was dead easy. I don't know who came up with the Ultimate British Wrestling, UBW, was thought of in seconds. And it was going to be Dave and Johnny one-on-one, and it was going to be me and Liam one-on-one. And we get to the taping to find that Liam's got an injury of some sort, and I was full of a cold. I was so ill, dragged myself to Sheffield. So if you watch the match that they did, it was Johnny and Dave. They did a 2 out of 3 falls match, and I'm the guest referee, and I'm just like. A guest referee's meant to be getting involved in a match, and I don't do a thing. I'm the most straight down the middle guest referee you'll ever see, and it's because I don't feel fucking very well. So that was really the genesis of what became UEW.
Talk about the Champagne character and how you came up with the concept for what Champagne was going to be, and where did it originate from?
So I had a very clear vision in my mind for what I wanted Champagne to be. I wanted Champagne to be a very dark character, and I want him to like almost like the way that when Mankind was brought into WWF and he lived in the sewers or lived in the boiler room. I wanted Champagne to be like that. So all his promos would be shot in very dark places, and he'd still talk very much like this and things like that. And I really wanted that, and I just had this big problem that literally I would have all that in mind, and I cut my promos, especially for the early recalls, like that, and then as soon as I made my way to the ring, I forgot about it, and Champagne was just me, but with the volume turned up, I suppose. So I think by the time we got to Doomsday with UBW, I think that bit of me had just gone. I would just cut promos as me, and my character was just me.
Did you want everyone who was on the roster to have their own character, to make everyone individual, make everyone different, or was it more of a case of we'll work with what we've got, whoever you are, whatever you're about, just come down and we'll see what we can do with you? Or did you want everyone to kind of prepare their own character so that they would have the storyline, so that they would have that emotional investment in it?
I think one of the things that I always wanted to do with UBW is I wanted us to try and have individual characters that had individual characteristics. One of the things I really strongly tried to stress to the rosters from day one was of both BBW, the rosters of both BBW and UBW was please, can you try and find some copyright-free music? Because I just knew that was always going to be a problem with YouTube, is that if you use a WWE entrance theme, it's going to get taken down. If you use a generic rock band music, it's going to get taken down. So, of course, the only people who listened to me with that was me and Extreme Dave. And Dave used one of his band's musics, and I used generic rock band for number 5 for Champagne's era entrance music. I hoped people would have characters and styles they could do. Like Johnny Magnum was sleazy, and Extreme Dave was extreme, and Danny Ace was John Cena, and I was the image that I had for me was, as I just mentioned, was very, very different from where I actually went. I hoped we would have characters, because of course the great thing with characters is that you can do stories around those characteristics, and that's what I always want. I always wanted storylines in UBW.
Talk about the growth of the roster and how, when you transitioned to UBW, other people came in.
So one of the things I was really proud of in the time between starting the BBW and when we got to UBW Salvation is we managed to take what was originally a core 4, so myself and Max Carnage and Extreme Dave and PS2 Peter. We managed to turn that into those 4 men, were added to by Johnny Magnum and Liam Styles from Pete, and then I managed to add 2 more men to the roster before we got to Salvation. Danny Ace got in touch with me about wrestling. He actually wanted a match with me specifically, which was like, yeah, come on board, we'll have a match. And we didn't have that match for 3 months after he joined the roster. It's at the Vendetta taping that we actually had our first one-on-one contest. One day, I'd from the very start, from when BBW first started up, a guy called Jonathan Swin had been getting in touch with me and saying, I'm really good at graphics, do you want me to do some graphics? And I was like, fuck yeah, I do. One of the things I really wanted for UBW is I wanted its production values to be good. I wanted them to be the absolute best that they could be. And Jonathan Swin was just the most fantastic graphics artist. So he would do me match graphics. He designed both the BBW and the UBW logo that you can see behind me. He did all the match graphics for us. He did all the match plates for us at the entrance with the names. And one day he just, in a conversation between that first Relentless taping and the Salvation taping, just said, are you guys looking for talents at the moment? I thought he meant that he knew someone who wrestled, because at no point had he said, yeah, I do a bit of backyarding. I just wanted to see if that's picking that up, but it's not. Is there anything? So Swinney says to me, "Are you looking for talent at the moment?" And I'd gone thinking like he knows someone who wrestles, because he at no point had he said I do a bit of backyarding. So I thought he knew someone, or some mates of his wanted to come along and give it a try. And he's like, "I'm sorry, yeah. Do you know someone?" He's like, "Oh yeah, me." I'm like, "What? Do you wrestle?" "Yeah, I've done a bit of it in the past." And so I was like, "Right, cool." So by the time we got to Salvation, we had that original 4 had become 8 men. And then, as well as that, we managed to do a deal with the RWL guys, the Real Wrestling League guys, who, they had their own ring, and they had this big following on YouTube, and they were the type of guys who were just like, so if they can come in, we can get a bit of a rub off of them. Putting them as the opening contest at Salvation probably wasn't the greatest of moves, and we soon decided that we didn't want those men on our roster, but those core 8 formed the basis of the UBW roster for the next 9 months.
Talk about how when you had BBW, it seemed like it was a bit of fun for you guys and stuff. When you transitioned into UBW, it became very much more serious. It was very fixated on making it a success. When was the decision made that you wanted UBW to be a success and actually run with it, have a roster, and put together Salvation, and lead that into how the Fatal 4-Way changed your perception of what UBW would be going forward?
I think that BBW for me was right time, right place, all of that jazz. You got to remember that when we started BBW, I was 27 years old, believe it or not. I was the absolute oldest of the group, apart from Max. Max is a year older than me. So, Max is 28, I'm 27. And it was one of those, if I don't do this now, I'll never get a chance to do this again. So it's got to be right now. But I think for the first BBW was just a bit of a hobby. It was just messing around. It was just a group of lads just having a go at it. By the time Salvation rolled around, and there was you got to remember that the Relentless show that we did had one match on it, just the one. That show on YouTube had thousands of views. And it was one of those, okay, so when we get to the Salvation taping, we need to put on the absolute best show that we can. It's got to be fucking perfect. And so there was weekly changes in the lineup. The original matches are meant to be me and Champagne Johnny Magnum, Liam Styles, Extreme Dave. That's the card. Those 2 matches. And it goes through change after change after change after change after change. So it goes, the RWL guys, and it becomes, it's Magnum versus Swimban, and the winner gets put into the 4-way main event, and so Johnny wins that one. So it's going to be me and Max and Dave, and like I say, the winner of Johnny and Swinney. And so it was one of those, we need to put on the best of matches that we can, and we didn't take it super seriously. It wasn't like this is the be all and end all of things, but at the same time, it really was we need to take this quite seriously. So I was saying before that I wanted the production values to be perfect. So I made a point of insisting that even though we only use mobile phones to tape the shows, I want multiple cameras. I want at least 2, ideally 3 cameras of everything, because I think that makes it look better. If you're filming just with 1 camera, a match, if there's a mistake, you cannot edit it out. So I insist on that. I wanted the UBW watermark in the bottom of the screen, which is featured in every single match. So even though we're taping on a top, I think that's where I took it seriously. I was like, all right, we're just sometimes when we've got the character like the Freak in the ring, it's going to be for comedy, it's going to be played for laughs, but I want it treated seriously, as seriously as I physically can. The 4-way match that we did really was an eye-opener of like, okay, we could really do something special here, because I'm not just, I know it could be said that I'm biased because I'm part of it, but it's just, when you watch it back, it's a magical little match because there's so little planned. If I, from my point of view, the Tornado DDT spot, the 3-way Bulldog Superkick spot, the me going through the table, where I've got Max in the single leg crab and the finish, that's planned. Now that's 5 spots that I've just mentioned there, but how much happens in a 28-minute long match? I think it may be even half an hour match. there's so much that's on the fly, on the spot. There's me and Max talking to each other a lot. There's we'd always said that Johnny Magnum and Extreme Dave are tag team partners, and the way that they're interacting a lot is fabulous. It's still to this day my favourite UBW match. It's so well done. And it got such a reaction. 20,000 views that show had when it went onto YouTube. It went onto YouTube intact, in one piece, not into multiple bits, just as a one block show. 20,000 views with hundreds and hundreds of comments. And it's that point you just go, okay, we really need to make this bloody perfect, don't we? We need to make this the absolute best show that we can going forward from now on.
Before I move on to my next question, just whilst we're on the subject of the Fatal 4-Way, is the Fatal 4-Way the best match in UBW history? And if so, is it kind of disappointing for you knowing that UBW got so big afterwards, but there was nothing that would actually top that for you?
A lot of people ask me what my favourite UBW match is, and my favourite match that I was involved in was the Fatal 4-Way at Salvation. It's my favourite match that I'm involved. It's not my favourite UBW match because that comes down later on down the line. I think it's just got a bit of everything. I think it's got comedy in it. There's the bit where Champagne starts singing, for example, which is just completely out of the blue. It's brutal in places. There's a bit, I'm sorry to talk about myself, but the bit where Champagne swings the Jack Daniels sign and catches Johnny, and it catches him across the eye, and how I didn't cut Johnny open for real, I've no idea. But yeah, like I say, there's that tornado DDT spot that is just magic. There's the bit where Extreme Dave bulldogs Max off the ladder, Johnny Magnum super kicks them as they come down. It's fucking gold. It's of course I got my face drilled in to catch it, so can't go wrong with that, can you?
Was there any issues with distribution at that point? Once the Salvation had gone online and it got the attention that it did you find that you had problems going forward from that with broadcasting UBW on YouTube?
So UBW was massively popular right off the bat. I hope I'm not blowing my own trumpet so much, but a lot of that I think is down to me. And it's because we had a platform in my YouTube channel, because I had thousands of subscribers and I had a lot of eyes on me, so I was able to get people to watch my product quite readily. The flip side of that is that I also, the thing that started UBW back in the day, these shoot promos turns into there was a lot of people who didn't like me at the same time, who took great pleasure in flagging the videos on YouTube for adults fighting, for violence, for just anything that they could get the videos pulled down by. So Salvation was online for maybe a month, if that. I know by the time that Doomsday rolled around, we couldn't put it online anymore. So it was a case, okay, we'll have to find somewhere else to put it. So we put it onto Daily Motion, and I made some adverts for it and for YouTube, and said, go and try this out. And the views just didn't come, unfortunately. So we found a platform called Ning, which was it's almost like a social media platform in its own right. So you could upload videos up there, and there wasn't a very large limit. I think it was 150 megabytes or something. No, maybe it was a time limit or something, which was why all the matches went out in pieces. I think like some of the shows like Vendetta went out in 6 parts, for example. But it had a chat room, it had a photo gallery, it had all the things to make it like a socially interactive thing that we could do with the fans. So it meant that a UBW wrestler could always be in the chat room, and we could have group chats on there with the fans, which was a really nice thing to be able to do. It just meant that we never, after Salvation, we never hit the viewing figures that we could have done if those people had just left us alone. So it was massively frustrating on that point, because it was like we had this big fan base that didn't sort of follow us to our new homes. So it was almost like a make do and mend sort of thing. It was do the best with the tools you've got, I think is the best way to put it.
Do you think you had problems with putting UBW online on YouTube? Do you think you had problems not necessarily because of the violence, but because there were some people out there on YouTube in the IWC, if you want to call it that, who had personal animosity towards you, so they just wanted to cause you some problems?
I think a lot of it just boiled down to people were just trying to, like all trolls. Trolls are trying to get they're trying to get your attention and trying to get a reaction out of you. So they know that if they flag my video down, it will make me cross. It'll make me mad. It'll make me want to do a video or rant or reply to a comment on theirs, which, you know, at the end of the day, I'm guilty of doing for a very, very long time. It's only, you know, in the last 5 years or so that, you know, people want to comment all they like, but I just don't respond to them. So yeah, I think that they did it because personal animosity towards me, and it used to make me more angry because it's not the roster's fault. So every other member of the roster suffered and couldn't have their matches online because some idiot, some faceless idiot out there had a problem with me.
After Salvation and Doomsday were out the way, UBW kind of hit boom period. Salvation obviously garnered a lot of views for the company, and then Doomsday was kind of the forgotten show. It was sort of like the link that linked Salvation to Vendetta. What do you remember from Doomsday, and how did it lead into the boom period for UBW going forward?
So I think a lot of UBW fans, to a lot of UBW fans, they treat Doomsday like the forgotten show because it's bookmarked. It's bookmarked by Salvation, which is really good, and Vendetta, which is really good. But in between, you've got this one show that is a very watchable show, very enjoyable show, that people just don't seem to remember. I foolishly challenged Johnny Magnum to an Ironman match, and my conditioning wasn't the best there, so it was an idea on paper that was one of those, hey, this will be a good match, and we get to the taping, which was in late April of 2009, and it was a unbelievably hot day, and Christ alive, wrestling for half an hour was so difficult. But we had Pete wrestled the Executioner, and that was wonderful. And I think, bear in mind that Max Carnage had won the bout on a surprise. Oh, I've just lost my train of thought completely. I've really been talking for 27 minutes.
Yes.
Fuck's sake, I told you, man. My bit of the intro is so long.
My question's alright?
Yeah, fine.
Good.
To UBW fans, you've got Salvation and you've got Vendetta, which are both really good shows. And then sandwiched in between is Doomsday, which people don't seem to give much credit to and don't seem to like very much. And it's one of the things that I just don't understand why that is. It's a show that's got Freak versus Styles, which is really good. Pete versus Executioner, which is short but fun because Pete had lost to an RWL guy. And, you know, I, rather foolishly, I challenged Johnny Magnum to a 30-minute Ironman match, and getting to the taping, which was taped in late April, early May 2009, and it being one of the hottest days, probably the hottest day of the year so far, taping a 30-minute Ironman match was so hard. And then you had Carnage versus Dave. It was a really good show, and it's one of those things I just don't understand why it doesn't get the love that it's the shows that are either side of it get.
Coming out of Doomsday, you had the Road to Vendetta, which started with Danny Ace and Extreme Dave. Talk about their feud and what the match at Vendetta was built towards.
Could you repeat the question, please?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I was thinking about something that I should have said before when I mentioned. Can I just say a little bit?
Yeah.
So this is to go into the Salvation seriousness bit, right? Because I should have said these 2 points. Okay. So one of the ways we thought we could, you know, make Salvation special was to surprise the people. We wanted to put on a show that was fucking brilliant, but we also wanted to do we had two big surprises planned that literally no one outside of the roster knew about. So if you sat down to watch Salvation as a fan, you would have seen these two things and gone, holy shit, and then you see the first one like, holy shit, and then the second one like, holy shit. So the first one was, bear in mind that he had fired their entire roster, was the return of PS2 Peter. Now no one, not a soul saw this coming. Not a fucking soul. Basically, Peter had begged to be part of UBW. From the moment the Relentless went online, that boy had begged, and the roster was so split. Because on the one hand, you've gone, okay, He fired us. He's been an arsehole to us. He challenged me to a boxing match, for example, to be part of Salvation. Just like, I want a shoot fight with you. And then, but the other hand, it was one of those, okay, if he's just going to be humble and if he'll just do as he's told and rah, then yeah, we're happy to. So we took a vote on it, and it literally was, Pete got the nod by one vote, and because we're nice guys, we've gone, okay, he gets the vote. Yeah, you're in. So we did this thing where Liam Styles comes to the ring and Christian Sharp, who was the general manager at the time, says, what were you going to say?
How did Christian Sharp become your GM?
Well, you can talk about GMs, can't you?
Yeah.
So Liam Styles comes out to the ring and Christian Sharp, who was the general manager at the time, says, here's your opponent, Mr. Insano. And I just remember reading the comments on YouTube when that went online. It was just one of those, what the hell? How have you got, why is Insano back, rah. And they have a nice little match. And of course, I think Insano lost that one as well, now I think about it. And then the other big surprise that we did that literally no one would have seen coming was that Extreme Dave lost the UBW Championship to Max Carnage, which we just thought was, if Dave retains, great. If Johnny wins, great. If I win, if Champagne wins, it's his company, so obviously you know what to do. So we thought it would be just the best if Carnage wins. And not only does Carnage win, he wins in the most bullshit way ever with a roll-up. And then the plan, and it took some talking into the guys, it took a while to talk the guys into this one. But we agreed that Max was going to hold the belt till prove it in September. And he was going to be the chicken shit heel who wins by the most dodgy method and then brags about winning. Do you remember JBL in 2004? He would beat The Undertaker at SummerSlam, and then the next episode of SmackDown was like, and I beat The Undertaker, because that's the only bit that matters. He won the match. We wanted Carnage to be exactly like that. I wanted Carnage to be the guy who wins by the skin of his teeth, and he holds the belt for months, so that you are at the point when Prove It comes, whoever's the number one contender, you are so behind him because you are so desperate for Carnage to lose the championship. So eventually the guys saw it like that and we were like, yeah, okay, because we had big things planned for Dave going forward, which it probably would be Dave who got the belt back at Prove It, but we wanted a couple of feuds in between to build him up. So to make Salvation the best show that we could, those were two big surprises that we thought would really make people happy.
How did the booking work, and how did you guys come to an agreement on decisions and match outcomes?
One of the things that we started off with the booking wise, because the microphone's there. Look at the fucking big plot when you fucking put the lighter. Look at that.
Okay.
One of the things that One of the things that I instilled in from day one when we started UBW is I wanted everything to be done via committee, and I thought all the booking decisions, all the planning decisions, every single thing that we could do, because that way it's fair. If there's 8 of you and 5 vote one way and 3 vote the other way, you go with the 5, because that way it's democracy at its finest, isn't it? So everything's done like that. Of course, that's a really good way of doing it in theory. What it does do is it makes a lot of arguments. It means that people have always got different opinions one way or the other, and it means that essentially everyone's got their own say, which is all good and well, but looking back, the right way to do it would be one person's booker and they'd say, this is what's happening. Do as you're fucking told. If you don't like it, there's the door. That's what we should have done, and interestingly, that's what was planned for 2010. If we carried on 2010, I've still got on my computer at home, I've still got the match cards for every single show going forward.
People believe that it was your company and that you were behind a lot of the decisions, the match outcomes and things like that. Do you want to validate for everybody that it was a group decision and you weren't in charge of that?
A lot of people believe that because it was on my YouTube channel, that it was my company, that I ruled with an iron fist and all that jazz. The only thing that I absolutely, this is mine, this is how it's done, was on editing the videos. And that is literally, the only reason for that is because I supplied the cameras. Now, it's not a secret that we filmed our shows on mobile phones, and I supplied the mobile phones. That I had the best quality mobile phones out there, and so because I brought them, I was able to get home and get the shows. Most of the time, if we take it on a Saturday, the shows were ready to go on a Monday morning. I would spend all Sunday editing them, and they normally go live the following Friday. And that was the only bit that was this is how we're doing it. It was my editing call. But what I would normally do is the reason that the shows would go live on a Friday is because everyone would get a chance to watch them first. And so if there's anything that they didn't like, as a rule, people pick out mistakes, or this has changed. We should change this. And a couple will slip through the net. For example, you remember if you guys remember at Relentless when Josh from Crush Your Day just a standing moonsault on me, and I as Sir Arthur Hayes caught a shooting star press, for example, which I put online, and everyone was like, "Do you know you called that wrong?" It's one of those fuck. But yeah, that's the only bit. Everything else, every other thing that we did, from title changes to who won matches, as a rule, if a feud started, for example, we would let the people who were doing the feud decide who won what and when and how. There was no time limits on matches. There was no you have to do this, and of course, unfortunately, that was detrimental to us because especially when it came to promos. For example, I tried so hard to get people to do promos at the shows, and people just didn't want to because they wanted to chat with the mates or whatever. So it became so you get a record, for example, if it had 4 promos on it, 2 would be there in Preston, and the other 2 would be in someone's fucking bedroom because they couldn't be asked on the day. Oh, I'll do it some other time, which used to really infuriate me because I used to think that the product looked bad for it. It was always look, just do your promo. It'll take 5 minutes. Just do your fucking